Welcome back to the Kitchen Chefs. Today we are really excited about this episode. We have Jaired Sullivan from Wayward North in the kitchen. And this is actually one of our favorite podcasts to date. Jaired is one of the most humble, transparent, kind human beings we've ever spoken to. And he's incredibly well spoken. So much so that we were just like, oh, I feel like we need to elevate our way of speaking.
I just Amazoned a thesaurus to my doorstep. It arrives tomorrow.
We had a great time talking with Jaired, and he has some incredible pointers, some incredible tips, and he's got an awesome community that he's talking about at the end of the episode. So make sure you stay till then. But let's cook.
Living in a daydream. Ooh, such a sweet thing. Life on the big screen. It's such a beautiful scene, yeah.
Jaired, is it true that you've never been on an airplane before?
That is 100% true.
You're kidding.
No. I 32 years old, never stepped foot on an airplane. Actually, that's not true. I almost stepped foot on an airplane, but I had a panic attack in the lobby, like going into like security, and I said, I'm not doing this today.
Where were you? Was it for a wedding? Where were you heading to?
So I was actually going to Florida to visit my dad. My dad lives in Florida, and yeah, he paid for the trip. I felt terrible and ended up luckily they like reimbursed the tickets, so like he got his money back. But yeah, I just
it's the fear of flying.
It's the fear of it all, and
That's
can't
how
really.
Nate starts the call, bringing up anxiety attacks and panic attacks
So
and
tell
trauma.
us about your anxiety here.
This is it, literally.
I was wondering. I saw it on your site, and I'm like, he's never.
Okay, it's on your site. Okay.
Yeah. Because no. In my mind, here's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, okay, Wayward North. We got Jaired, very well known.
Yeah.
I can only imagine he's had people from the other side of the country saying, "Hey, I'm getting married. Can you fly out and film my wedding?"
That's what my thought was, that you travel the world.
Yeah, how does this work?
So I don't travel the world. I basically travel along the East Coast. However, I do have a wedding in California this year, so that will be interesting to see
Road trip?
Yeah, I'm thinking road trip on this one. And
Stop in Utah? Get
maybe
some lunch?
I think that could be. I mean, I hear the water's really great out there. You guys, like, you drink that.
That's all we drink.
It's like the fountain of youth and charisma and good looks over there. So,
Yeah, pointing to that well, Judas.
But no, yeah, it's the fear of flying for me. I think it's just like over time, the more I don't do it, the more it builds up and it builds up.
Yeah.
And it's all just in my head at this point. It's a battlefield of the mind. I'm hoping that I can get past this fear of stepping foot on an airplane and actually travel to these amazing locations that everyone else is filming all these awesome weddings at. So
Yeah. But I mean, I get it. We have one of our good buddies the exact same way. We'll do just about anything before he flies.
right,
Yeah, so I get it. I think it's a valid fear.
yeah.
Absolutely. Do you feel like it's ever held you back? Did you want to film a wedding and you couldn't?
Oh, 100%. I mean,
Really?
there's been so many opportunities missed. Yeah, I mean, I can't really think of all of them, but I mean, I've had several like instances where I could have gone to like Yosemite. I could have gone to like all of these places that would have definitely elevated my brand's presence in some manner, right? And I mean, when you hear the name Wayward North, you think Wayward North. When you hear the name Wayward North,
Wayward Nerf.
you think of like adventure in a sense, right?
Yeah, you do. Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, the good thing is in North Carolina we have beautiful mountains, and you take a 3-hour trip the opposite way, you have beautiful beaches. So it's like you kind of get the best of both worlds out here. So the good news is like I don't really have to travel all that far to have a successful adventure-based brand.
Can I also say travel isn't all that it's cracked up to be? I just think there's power in like building the community around you and locally. And then Nate, like we thought that's all we wanted to do. I think everyone who's young wants to just travel the world, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then you do, and your favorite place is home.
Oh, 100%.
And I remember, I'll never forget Nate and I flying in from Venice, Italy back home. And it's Venice, Italy, right? but we flew into Salt Lake City and we both just went, man, why did we leave?
Yeah.
Like, it's just so, I don't know. So I think
Yeah.
don't let the travel snobs bully you ever, Jared.
Yeah. No, and
I like what you're doing. We're trying to do that more and more as film more
Yeah.
locally anyway. So
yeah. I mean, you hit it really well. It's just home for me. I've always been a homebody. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just kind of like who I am to my core. So you do kind of get on social media and you're like, oh, I see this
Yeah.
luxury. You know, you kind of get influenced in a way, and you're thinking, oh, this is what success looks like. If I'm a destination wedding filmmaker, then I am successful. And I think that just couldn't be further from the truth. So
agreed.
yeah.
Agreed.
I think it's also a better sustainable business practice, as Jake touched on there. When we started Runway Vows, we just got so sick of traveling, and in the long-term thinking process, it's like, okay, we want to be doing this for 10, 20, 30 years. We want to capitalize on all the inbound Utah weddings because, what people don't realize is that there are destination, I guess, quote unquote, destination weddings to your own home state.
Or close by.
Any state, or very close by. I mean, every state in the U.S. is beautiful. So we're just like, hey, people are traveling to Utah. They're going to Park City, Moab, Zion.
Yeah.
Why don't we just refocus and try to figure out how to get those weddings instead of flying to California one week and then the next week we're in New York? It's just a lot easier to maintain that in the long run, especially if you're like you have a family, you want to stay home, you want to be part of the kids' lives growing up.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, and that's a big factor for me too. Now that I do have a family, I don't really have the desire to really travel, 10 hours or halfway across the world just to film a wedding. I'd rather just go 30 minutes down the road, 30 minutes back home, and hey, sleep in my own bed that night.
Yeah.
There are a few venues locally where Nate, like, if we just were their full-time videographer and we were just there every weekend, I think we'd be pretty happy and fulfilled in life.
100%.
Life would be a dream. Life would be an absolute dream.
Yeah.
Well, Jaired, talk to us a little bit. How did you get into wedding filmmaking? Because people can go watch your YouTube channel and it's beautiful. Most cinematic thing I've ever seen. How did you get to that point? And how did you get into wedding filmmaking?
Yeah.
And what made you make the transition to YouTube?
Yeah, that's a good question. My start into wedding filmmaking, I feel like, is very cliche, Cinderella story.
Okay.
Boy meets couples see something in boy, and he creates wedding film.
That should be a YouTube series.
It should be.
Boy meets
couple.
Tell your
couple meets
story.
boy. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, you're fine. So I was waiting tables at Outback Steakhouse, and through that time, I was just kind of discovering really my passion, what I was good at. And I felt like I was just really drawn to storytelling, and YouTube was kind of like a really big thing back then. And I don't know if you guys remember the YouTube channel Film Riot.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Classic.
So good.
Yeah.
I would watch Film Riot and just feel so inspired. Like, I want to make films. That's what I want to do. That's what I have to do. There's no other option. And while I was waiting tables, I just, bought my first camera, bought my first computer. It was like the old iMac back in the day.
Yeah.
And
What was the camera?
it was a 60D.
Okay.
Okay.
Actually, excuse me. It was the T3i. That was my first camera.
There it
There we
is.
go.
There
My
it is.
There we go.
It was the T3i.
What year was this?
This was 2012, 2013.
Okay.
And me and my friends, like growing up through high school, we would make these like slapstick videos, thinking we were the Adam Sandler and Company, wanting to be like those guys that make their own movies and, make people laugh. That was the dream. But then obviously grew up and realized I needed to do something a little bit more professional with my life. And so, just kind of fell in love with the act of creating, making things. And then a friend at the restaurant was getting married. He asked me if I wanted to film his wedding. And obviously the rest is kind of history from there. I filmed that first wedding and just fell in love with it, fell in love with the process. I remember going home that night and staying up till like 2, 3 in the morning, editing this first film and posted it on Facebook. And then literally within like 48 hours, I had my first lead, which
No
was
way.
yeah, which was from
Really?
a girl I went to elementary school with. Hadn't talked to her in like 10 years, and she was like, "Hey, this is awesome. I didn't know you film weddings. How much do you charge?" And so like from there, it just kind of
Wow.
it's like a ripple effect.
Where preparation meets opportunity, right
That's
there.
it.
Yep.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. And so from there, just kind of realized this is a whole world in of itself. Like this is something that I didn't really expect, didn't think that was even possible. Like people can actually film weddings for a living and do something creative. So I was just really excited, really passionate early on, and just kept learning everything I could. You know, I'm a YouTube university alum over here.
I like that.
Same. That's all we
Yeah.
are. Okay. How much did you film that first wedding for? Was it a free one?
No, well, yes. Okay, so the first one,
Your buddy?
yep, for my friend at the restaurant, the first one was for free. He initially wanted photography, which is a weird thing to ask someone who's never photographed anything in his life.
Yeah.
But yeah, I did photo and video for him because I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do both. It's not that hard, right? So yeah, I'm a madman for that first wedding.
So-
that was your first and last time doing
It
that.
was 100%.
So Jared, what was it about? I'm just so curious with you. Like, what was it about that first wedding or those first two that attracted you to this career? Like you said, oh, I can make money. That world exists. Like, yeah, but what was it about it that you said I'm gonna actually devote time and money into making this my career?
The biggest thing was the impact that I saw that it had. It's like something that I created could have such an emotional response from someone in a positive way. That was, I think, the biggest selling point for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, man, this is what I am meant to be doing. Like, there's no other career path that is rewarding enough, or that's going to reward me enough, like spiritually, like, and make me feel that fulfillment, like filming weddings, right? Because like when I delivered that wedding film and just like the initial reaction and just the excitement, like that's what I was drawn to. And if I look back on it, when me and my friends were making these slapstick videos, I wasn't really drawn to, while the creation side of it was really amazing and really fun, but I was really drawn to the emotional response, like making people laugh. So it was just that feeling that I loved creating for other people, that positive feeling, and just nurturing that. So I would say that's the biggest thing for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Go ahead, Jake. I saw you.
Yeah, I was just thinking about I don't know if you've seen The Prestige. Jared, the Christopher Nolan movie. Are you a movie guy?
I don't think I've seen that actually.
Okay, I think he did it right before Batman Begins or right after. And made one of my favorite films ever. We just watched it. But anyway, there's this line that says like, well, these guys fight for the best magic trick, and they say, why'd you do it? And he said like it's for the look on their faces. And I thought about that when you were saying, because I think a lot of us kind of get into it for like the job aspect or the freedom or like not having to work a traditional 9 to 5. And I've only met a few people. Catherine from Blink was another one of these people who said that I do it because of the fulfillment I get to bring to others' lives.
Yeah.
And I think it's a noble quest to be in this business for that reason, is to say, you know what, I have the ability, better than most, to capture someone's most important of their life and turn it into a product that they can watch, cry, laugh, and feel everything they felt on their wedding day times 10 forever. And that brings you fulfillment, not just them. That's powerful stuff. And I think if more people had your mindset, I think it'd just be a happier industry in general.
I couldn't agree more. I think it is too. It's a part of the downfall, I don't want to say, of the wedding film industry.
No, please.
No, we're all for hot takes. Please just say the downfall.
Well, I think it's just social media has contributed to so much negativity and so much unrealistic expectation when it comes to like what does contribute to success or what does contribute to happiness, what does contribute to fulfillment. but I think it really starts at home. It starts like inside of you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, why are you really doing this? Who are you serving? Because over time, like your why does evolve. Like, I mean, I think you have different priorities that obviously are going to shift in your life, when you have a family and, different things come about in your life when you are looking at your career. But like going back to just longevity in the industry, I think if you don't have that servant's heart, if you kind of just are doing this for the vanity metrics, or you're doing it for the profit or whatever it is, if it's more vain over more servanthood based, I think that's where a lot of people after a couple years find that, I don't want to keep doing this. Like, this is just not for me. Or they just come to resent weddings altogether. I mean, and there's some good reasons to resent weddings when you're dealing with the general public. There's always some good reasons to have that resentment. But I think at the heart of it, as long as you know why you're doing it and you're still finding that fulfillment and joy on your own, then you'll find long-term success. That's my opinion anyway.
It's a good opinion.
Has there ever been a time where you weren't feeling fulfilled and you kind of took a step back and you said, here's what I did in the past, this is what worked, here's what I'm not feeling anymore, here's what I'm going to do to get back onto that track I was on?
I think it's unrealistic to say that I've never felt what's the right way to phrase it? It is unrealistic to say that I've never
a little burned out, I guess.
Yeah, burned out or wanted to quit, wanted to leave the industry, because I totally have. And I think it's just natural to feel at some point bored over what you're doing, or that, like, is this really right for me still? Or just all those feelings that I think just come from being human. I mean, there's been several times where I've wanted to just walk away, where, serving people for so long, or serving the wrong people for so long, I should say, was causing more negative side effects on my health, like mental health.
The wrong people.
Yeah.
Like, when you look at like your brand and the films or the weddings that you film, in the early beginnings of filming weddings, like, you're going to take some weddings that are necessarily not really, they don't really see value in you as a person. Really, you're just kind of another number.
Value in you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's like probably the best way to say it without trying to insult anybody. Like,
insult them, Jaired.
No, I don't want to insult anybody. It's just long and short of it, they don't really see value in you as a person, and it's just a very negative experience. It just is very taxing on you mentally, emotionally, and you're like, why am I even doing this? If like they don't even care that I'm here, why am I here? So just doing those types of weddings over and over again. But to that, I will say, when you are just getting started, you kind of do have to do those weddings to start, to kind of build your skill set, build your brand. And it's just like, you got to do those weddings you don't want to do to get to the ones where it's like, this is all I want to do.
Why do we inflate wedding videography into like, put it in this like, this realm of like, oh, this job doesn't have to follow 99% of the rules of corporate America, when it's like, well, you get any job, you're going to start at the lowest, right? And you're going to want to work your way up, kiss your boss. Sorry, kiss up to your boss, I should say.
Kiss your boss.
I mean, whatever works. Whatever works.
There's some people out there that do that. Find success in that,
I mean, hey, no shame here.
Hey, if that's what you got.
Yeah. But you know what I mean? Like, every job requires you to kind of take the jobs that no one's wanting to kind of get ahead. And it takes a few years, right? No one ever starts off in their dream job.
Yeah.
And it's no different. I think we think we're in our dream job immediately, because at least for me in my year one, it was like, wow, I'm making money on a weekend without working throughout the week, and it's a fun job. So you kind of think you have like this entitlement to doing, I don't know, whatever. But then, no, you're exactly right. It's like, no, like, you have to still iron out who finds value in you, and work up to the weddings that you want to be at.
Yeah.
And what that could mean, I like your definition. People that you find value in, and they find value in you. People you think, you know what, I'm going to leave fulfilled, and I'm going to fulfill them with my product. It's a beautiful way of saying it.
Yeah, that's a great way of saying it. I'd say that that applies to basically any market too. I wouldn't say it's just beginners, because when you're first starting out, you have those $0 projects, a lot of like spec ads if you're in the commercial space too. But even when you've quote unquote made it, that's my second time using quote unquote in this episode. That's the last time.
Everyone keep track.
But even when you've made it, you can still work for clients that just walk all over you, even though they're giving you a good paycheck. And if they're just walking all over you, treating you just terribly, you walk away from that, and it's just this zero sum game. It's like, I made money, but how do I feel on the inside? Jake and I, we've had that, especially in the past year, as we've been trying different avenues for growth with Runaway Vows, weddings, commercial world. We've had awesome paying gigs, but sometimes we leave and we're like, man, I don't know if that was worth it.
Yeah.
I haven't seen my family. I feel like crap.
Yeah. And it's not.
So it's kind of whatever market you're in.
Yeah. 100%.
It's almost not. And then sometimes, like, to contrast that, it's this weird line, right? Like, quote unquote line.
That's 3.
Where it's like, do we actually deserve for every single, or is it possible for every single job to not be worth it? Let me try. You know what I'm saying? Like, sometimes you have to just take those hits.
Sometimes you do.
It's like, I need to pay the bills this month. I need to provide for my family. This isn't necessarily a job I would like to do or find a whole lot of enjoyment doing. But also, like, my responsibility is more than that. You know, sometimes I gotta put aside my own desires and say, well, what's best for my career, my brand, and my family this month, you know?
Yeah.
And so guys, don't listen to this and think that Jared, Jake, and Nate are saying, like, never take a job unless it checks every single box in your life. It's like, that's the ideal.
Right.
And I think I'm proud to say, and I think, Jared, I think you've centered your brand around these values, is to, like, prioritize those ideals, because they can happen very often. But there's a lot of sacrifice in this industry as well, on all fronts.
100%. And I think too, where a lot of us, and I've certainly fallen victim to this, is, you know, at the early start, like you said, Jake, year 1, it's like, you know, you do these weddings and you're like super jazzed, and, you know, you get to a point where you're at one wedding and you realize this is not going to go on my portfolio. And you kind of just start, like, your heart drops, like, everything about your creativity just, like, disappears. You no longer want to just think outside the box. And that's where it's so hard that's a battle, I will say, because you are battling that selfish desire of, I need this to be, like, front and center on my website every single time. It's not realistic. And that's where you have to really get to the heart of, why are you doing it? And for me, I just always have to circle back to that when I know that this wedding is just checking off another box. It's just, you know, I'm paying the bills this month, but it's not something that's going to be front and center on the website or social media or to go viral. And you have to be okay with that. I think you
have to be. It's
something where if you just constantly obsess over that, it's going to destroy you, like, so fast. So yeah, that was just like another little tangent.
I love that.
I thought, yeah.
So, kind of taking a side step from weddings now.
Yep.
You got started on the T3i. I myself am a T2i
Love it.
OG.
Yeah.
Wanted the T3i, couldn't afford it. Or I think actually when I bought the T2i, the T3i came out, and I was like, they have an articulating screen. I was so mad.
Yeah.
Anyway, you got started, found fulfillment. You've built this very reputable brand. Tell us a little bit about how you started becoming a YouTuber, offering free value to the world. I think I might know the answers based on what got you into wedding videography. You wanted to provide value to people, but I would love to hear from you. What got you into that world of wanting to start a community and a channel and just spend your time creating free value for strangers?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question, and you did kind of reveal the answer a little bit in that. I mean, it's
sorry.
Thanks, Jake.
I wanted you to know that I was listening to you, and then I understand you, and I feel you, and I see you.
100%. But it is good. I mean, because I do want. It's glad. I can't talk English. Can you talk today? Okay. I want Wayward North to be synonymous with like the educational side, or like my values in of itself. I want to be synonymous with everything I do, right? So
Yeah.
going into YouTube, you know, it was 2019. I think COVID was just on the forefront of shutting down the world. And I think it was just like a prime opportunity to, you know, offer more value to other people. And also at the same token, just stay proactive in creating. Because I know myself, if I stop doing something for so long, I'm going to forget about it, or I'm going to get rusty in the creative process. I didn't want that for myself. You know, so it was a way for me to just continue to practice filmmaking, while also serving other people. And yeah, with YouTube, it's been such a crazy journey. And like, I find that YouTube is just this constant ebb and flow of emotions for me. Like some weeks I'm like super excited. Other weeks I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm just like pouring so much into this and it's not necessarily working. But then again, I'm like, it's like that circle where I have to come back to my why. Is like, no, this is why you're doing it. You're not doing it for the vanity metrics. You're doing it for this reason. But you're hopeful that you can get to this sustainable part of it all where you're making some money. You're, you know, bringing more income to take care of your family, take care of the things that you need to do. Because again, it's unrealistic to think that YouTube is not for some kind of financial gain. It definitely is to help like satisfy my own needs, right, with my family, take care of them. But the main goal and mission has always been to, you know, just provide value and give back to the community and really build a channel that's approachable, in a way that's like talking to my younger self of like all the things that I wish I had going into the wedding industry. It's just being that voice of encouragement and that positive sounding board. So that's just been really my heartbeat behind YouTube. And, but yeah, there's still some ebbs and flows where I'm like, man, I want to be like hitting these numbers, or I want to be doing this. And I have to reel it back in. And it's like, nope, that's not why you're doing it.
Well, Jaired, it shows, man. Your intention shows in the channel. And I think there's two things you said. You want to, obviously it needs to be for your benefit, right? It needs to be sustainable, or else why would you keep doing it? But it also needs to have value. Yeah. And how you've approached it by wanting to add value first and then try to monetize that, whether that's through products or sponsorships, whatever, like, you know, view revenue, whatever it is, that's the right way to do it. People who get into YouTube or content creation off the bat trying to make, especially in our educational industry here, trying to make money, and then trying to figure out, okay, well, now how do I add value? You gotta flip that mindset, because people are hungry for value. And when you can offer that to them, especially on a free platform, that's transparency to me. And then, you know what I mean? I think I don't need to over explain it, but all to say, that's very transparent on your channel to me. And that's what drew me to your channel years ago when I first found it. I think it probably was when you first started. I just remember saying like, wow, this guy is offering an insane amount of value on a free platform, especially when these courses, you know, popping up left and right. And it's like, wow, Jaired's out here just throwing out free value for the world. And it's just cool to see. Just really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate those kind words. It's always awesome to hear that perspective, even though I might not feel it, but it's always good to hear it. So
it's always rough days.
I feel like Jaired, and we talk about this sometimes, but you are one of the few people who directly reflects their brand. Like if I were to meet you in person, it's like, this is Wayward North. Just the way he carries himself, the way he talks. And maybe it's just because you have this YouTube channel where you just, you know, you teach, and I feel like I've known you for a long time. But you've said this word a lot that I hadn't heard until now, and it's the vanity metrics. And I really like that. I feel like, to your point, to avoid that vanity, you can tell when someone is avoiding that strictly through their edits. And I think that's something that you have like really in your corner. You have really unique style, really unique edits. And I think it can really show in your like storytelling. I don't know if you outsource or if you edit all your own films, but it's pretty easy, I feel like, to see someone on Instagram or social media trying to keep up with everybody because they're doing all the trendy things, and maybe their edits fall short and they're just trying to get like those quick clicks,
Right.
and they're trying to get, you know, the millions of views. But then when you go and watch something like your videos, and I put this in our Facebook group the other day, I don't know what the couple's name was, but there was a moment like 4 minutes in where the bride is getting ready and she's against the window, kind of like silhouetted almost. And you showed, I think, Super 8 footage of her mom in that same pose, and you kind of superimposed the image of her and her mom, and it was beautiful. And I'm like, there's no way that someone who doesn't care about people as individuals when he's filming them is going to put this effort into an edit. And so I feel like that's just like something that you have got super down. I don't know. Again, I don't know if you edit or you outsource. If you do outsource, please let us know who you send it to, because that's incredible. Whatever you're doing, man. What's the key to your creativity? Like who do you go to? What's your inspiration?
It's so hard to really pinpoint, honestly. Like through the years, I felt like I was always like reaching, like trying to pull creativity from other people. But then I realized that was causing more overwhelm. That was causing my mind to get a little bit more cluttered. And I really just needed to like stop watching other like filmmakers' films, or stop watching like things on Instagram, and just like let the story just kind of lead me in the direction that I feel is the right path. And I edit a lot based off feeling, and feeling is so hard to explain.
Right.
Like because it's something that's uniquely yours. So putting that on paper is very difficult. But yeah, I mean, over the years, there's been so much inspiration. Like, I mean, you know, when I first got started into like weddings, I was like super drawn to like David Reynosa from Forestry Films. I was, you know, drawn to like Penn Weddings. Like all the OGs, right? You know, like all the people that just were killing it and just like ahead of their time, right? Especially in the industry. I feel like they were like the pioneers of,
they were.
you know, like real, like just down to earth storytelling that really connected on all fronts emotionally. And yeah, I mean, there's just so many other people too that I can't think off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, it got to a point where like after like a couple years, I had to stop watching like films because I was getting so like sad. I was like, oh, my films are never going to look like this. I got to stop doing this to myself. And I just started, you know what, I'm just going to create from a place of pure intention of how I feel in this moment, and let that just kind of lead the path. And that's just kind of like my secret sauce. I don't know, like of how I do wedding films. It's just, I edit off a feeling, and the way you feel is just so like, especially in my world, it's so like up and down sometimes. So like a film could be like really hype and just like weaving into those emotional levels, or it could just be like really slow and just layered throughout the entire thing. So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
No, it does. Well, what do you think?
Absolutely.
Like, yeah, guys, takeaway from today: get off social media and YouTube for a second, and just watch your films. I know when some of my favorite edits I've done have been when I just sit down, I sync the audio with the ceremony and the speeches, and I rewatch them in full. Like, I don't speed through them. I watch them in full as if I'm there on the wedding day again, to reinvigorate my memory and think, okay, what moments in here do I have B-roll for, right? And that's what creates a story that's like centered around the couple and their personalities and their love and their family and their friends, versus just trying to like look at what's trending or what's a cool clip or a good moment that I can maybe post. So the tip of the day, guys, get off social media and let your creativity breathe for a second. I think here's my take of the day, guys. Nathan, you know when you ask me like, what's your take, Jake? I think about that like every day now. When like something crosses my mind and I get triggered. But here's my take in this conversation is I'm so sick of unoriginality in the industry. I'm not
copy
impressed.
paste.
Half the videos on my TikTok feed and Instagram feed now are like people reacting to other people's achievements, and that's their whole channel. It's like, oh, Mr. Beast does this, or oh, so and so does this, or look at this clip of the stream. Watch me react. And I just think reaction videos, just people like copying other people's work blatantly. It's just so like it's so unimpressive to me. And the problem is it's getting views, right? So they're gonna keep doing it. Versus like, well, let's focus on the people that they're reacting to, the originals, the creators, the people like Jaired who are sitting there trying to feel moments from strangers, right? And craft this beautiful, crazy story. That's what we should be teaching more, is how to do that. And if your process, you guys, is like drawing inspiration, like if you're like, okay, I'm no longer gonna watch Jaired's videos. It's like, no, that's not the point.
It's not what we're saying.
Draw inspiration from, right? Learn from, see what you can do to improve. But there's this fine line, and I think it gets dark quickly. I'll speak for myself here, is where seeking to gain inspiration from others quickly turns to discouragement. Like what you said, Jared, is like, this isn't healthy. I need to stop watching, because now I gotta stop watching 31 films, because I truly want to quit every single time I watch 31 films. I'm like, all right, well, I suck. I'm so let your creativity breathe, right? And just there's a reason you're in this industry. You have strengths, you have God-given talents. Let them grow, let them develop, and don't try to be somebody else, because you're doing the whole industry and your couples a disservice by not being 100% who you are.
Yeah. No, I completely agree with you, Jake, and I've said it once and I'll say it again. I think trending audios are killing creativity. I do. They're great. It's awesome that you can go on Instagram and you can scroll, or TikTok or whatever, and see really just beautiful pieces of work. But you find this audio, it's like, oh, that's cool. You click on the audio, and the audio has videos that are pretty much all the same cuts,
All the same
content. Yeah, they're all the same. So you're like, oh, if I'm going to make that, I need to get that same kind of content, right? And we're all guilty of it. It can be fun. It can make your process a little easier because you already picked out the music. You don't have to spend the time doing that. But it just kills your creativity. Like, push the boundaries. Find something on MusicBed. Like, let's stop giving into this, oh, you have to use trending audio or hashtags to get views and stuff. Like, just do good work. It'll get noticed.
Actually,
stay consistent.
I don't know if this is true, but I saw a Google article saying that reaction videos are about to be put into a category. How kind of like if like the AI recognizes the music you're using is like licensed music, and it puts it in that category, and that way the creator gets paid every time it's used. Yeah. They're developing an AI algorithm, according to this article, that it'll recognize if you're reacting to somebody else's content, and the money will go back to that creator.
No way.
And like, while reaction videos are gonna just die, like it's just gonna be done, because it just follows the money, right? Yeah. So anyway, sorry, that was a whole tangent based on Jaired just saying he likes letting things feel. So sorry, Jaired. I go on rants, bro. I'm sorry. I just get triggered. I'm like, oh my gosh, I read an article about that.
No, I think it's great. One tip I will say, just to kind of bookend this section, is I was listening to a podcast, and they said, find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. And I think that is
say that again. Hold up.
Yeah, say that again. That was great. Find
your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others. And just sit with that. Just sit with that for a little bit, because it's something that I've been constantly thinking about. And in a world where we're just filled with that copy-paste culture, we really just have to remove ourselves from that environment, sit with ourselves, find our uniqueness, and then exploit that uniqueness in the service of others. And I think that's how you get ahead. I think that's how you find fulfillment. That's how you find long-term success, because you're like, this is me. This is no one else. This is only I can do. And yeah, it's better than copy-pasting, looking back a couple years down the road and looking at all the films that you created. It's like, oh, well, that's so-and-so. This isn't me. I feel so disconnected from this. So yeah, find your uniqueness and exploit it in the service of others.
It's beautiful.
Dang, that was good.
Jaired, you said like 4 things today that I'm like, that should be a book cover. Copy it. Like, the copy-paste culture should be a book.
Yeah.
We just have a brief.
Yeah. I'm writing that
Exploit
down so
your
I don't
use in the
forget it.
service of others.
Find your uniqueness, exploit it in the
in the service of others.
Service
And
of others.
I can't take credit for it because I heard it on a podcast, so
Yeah, yeah.
it's not mine.
yeah.
I'm not the original creator of that, but it is
yeah.
something that I definitely feel from that for sure.
Well, good example of paying a powerful principle forward. It's awesome. Now our
Yeah,
audience
that's
will
great.
hear it. Your audience will hear it. It's awesome.
Yeah,
Dang. Well, Jared, I have a question for you.
awesome.
This is going to be a complete 180 in terms of feel.
Jared, our podcasts
where
have
we're
no
going with this.
cohesiveness.
Yeah, no, like when we first started the kitchen, like literally me and Jake, we would work in this little workspace together, and the little warehouse area down below us would be open, and we'd just say, hey, you want to go record a podcast? We're like, absolutely. So we would just go down and talk, and just the stupidest things.
Yeah.
Like, of course, looking back,
Still do.
we just talked about the most yeah, that's still stupid. Thanks for being here though. Thank you. Jake and I, we have this series. It's called Written by You, and people just kind of spit out their hot takes. They have like awkward moments. They have all these things that have happened to them on weddings. And speaking of reaction videos, we just react to it on a podcast.
Okay, that's
and
different.
talk
Come
about
on.
it.
You know that's
Yeah,
different.
Come on. Yeah, no, I'm not throwing us under the bus here. It was all Jake's idea.
Damn it.
Now, Jared, you are a very, very humble, transparent, friendly person. Do you have any takes about the wedding industry that are in direct correlation, direct contradiction to your being?
Yeah, I have several that would contradict everything that I've.
Let's hear them.
you
That's
spewed
what this
out, but I
platform
don't-
is for, Jared. Let's hear it.
Oh man, no, I was sitting with like some hot takes about the wedding industry and things I'm super guilty of too.
Oh, sure.
Oh, we
You
all
know-
are. We all are.
One thing that comes to mind is I think slow motion is severely overrated. And I don't know if that's a hot take or more lukewarm.
Oh, it's a hot one. I love
That's
this.
a hot take.
Yeah.
That's a hot take.
I think slow motion is honestly holding us back as an industry.
Dang.
Oof.
Damn.
Woo! All right. That was a good
yeah.
one. That was a great take.
Yeah.
Expound.
Expand on that?
Yeah, expound.
Well, for
Can
one,
can I say
yeah,
this?
Go ahead. Yeah.
Let me be careful here.
I feel like we've
It's-
already crossed the line. You might as well.
It's a
Since when?
it's a crutch.
Yeah.
I think it's. I mean, there's two ways of saying it. You could say slow motion's overrated, but I'm also like, yeah, but 24 frames per second is underrated because it's harder to film that way.
Yeah.
Some of our favorite films
is.
were filmed solely in 24 frames, but it is harder. You have to be a lot more focused. You have to slow down a lot.
Yeah.
I mean, at least we do. I'm not sure if you disagree with that.
Composition, framing.
You have to slow down because when you're filming in slow motion, you think, okay, I got 1 good second. I can make that 2.5.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so expound.
Expound. Yes.
Expound.
Slow motion being overrated, but to your point, it is insurance, right? Because on the
It
day,
is.
you're like, filming someone's wedding is incredibly difficult in of itself, right? Especially filming it well, I would say. To tell a compelling story that is full of emotion and inspiration, and you just leave that wedding film feeling like, wow, I'm just like a changed person. Like that's difficult to convey and create without slow motion. I will say that. I mean, we're all guilty of slow motion because you can go to my YouTube channel, you'll find it all over the place.
I was
But
gonna say like our hot take is we hate filming the dress shot, but then like you look at any of our job shows and we're filming the
They
dress
all
shot.
they all
the
have
dress
it,
shot.
yeah. And I mean,
Well,
that's
this is stupid. Never do this.
I mean, that's another hot take. Details are overrated.
Right. Okay.
So-
So yeah. Sorry, I cut you off.
I was just going to say, I mean, slow motion being overrated, I feel like, because we use it as a crutch, because everyone is doing it and you see it in all these wedding films, it feels like people coming into it, you're like, well, that's what I'm supposed to do because this is
Sure.
what people are buying. This is what everyone's really drawn to. But then you look at filmmakers like Hello Tomorrow and Jay and Mac and people who are just so good at capturing weddings and telling a story without slow motion. And you just look at that and you think, well, this is why they are the top 1%. This is why like they're such a sought after brand, is because they can create powerful wedding films without those crutches, without slow motion. And I think if we can get better at educating and ourselves in turn getting better at capturing wedding days in real time and capturing those authentic moments in real time without needing to slow things down, then the wedding film industry, I feel like, could evolve to, that's how it evolves to the next level, is because we're creating stories that are real, that aren't manufactured, that don't feel cookie cutter, because not everything is slowed down. Now, to that, there is a purpose and an intention of when to use slow motion, right? I mean, there's
exactly.
And I think, but the detriment is a lot of us tend to use it in the wrong ways, like myself included. And yeah, just getting better at being intentional with every part of our films and creating stories that just feel real, I guess, is like...
It's a great take.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Film Poets and Eric Floberg were two of the first people I remember watching their films. Was like, there wasn't a single slow motion shot.
Yeah.
I'm not sure they still do that. But I think the principle is to understand what slow motion does and when to use it, right? It should. I think for me, it should be. I mean, the principle in Hollywood to use a higher frame rate is to increase drama.
Right.
Period. Right. Increase the drama of a shot. So it's like, well, do your films need it then? And how much more powerful would it be if it's like 1 or 2 shots versus 80% of your film? And yeah, Nate and I used to film everything in slow motion.
Everything.
Until like probably 2019, we started like, hold on.
Right.
You know, we slowed down. We got monopods and we just kind of like tried a few things. We're like, wow, I really, because you're right. It brings out this authentic, emotional feeling.
Yeah.
Well, during that time too, Jake, remember wet edits played a pretty big role, I'd say, in this too. We started filming in 24 frames and we noticed like they were killing the edits. Everything that was 24 frames, we're like, man.
I think it was because we sent them
good.
Sydney and Nick.
Yeah.
And 60, a lot of it, not all of it, half of it was 60
60
frames, and they gave it back to us and they didn't slow anything down.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh.
Wait a second.
Whoops.
But you're right, Jared. Like it felt so much more authentic, and it didn't feel like this overly doctored, I don't know, product. And so now Nate and I usually, it's not every single time, but we usually reserve 60 frames only for like bridals, maybe. Like bridals, maybe a few shots here and there, but we usually just like, you know what? Let's capture it authentically and slow down a little bit.
Yeah.
And use more audio.
Also,
anyway.
No, yeah, and that's the thing too, is like if people are if someone's just starting out with filming and they just go to 60 frames, there's a lot more room for, I guess, error. Like 2 things: when they film everything in 60 frames, and let's say they're in Premiere and they put their 60 frame footage first into the timeline, and they might have 24 frame footage in there, but now they're working in a 60 frame timeline. You can just tell it looks weird. The other thing is the audio drift. So if you're filming a long ceremony and you're filming it all in 60, but your audio recorder is technically, I hope I'm right on this one, like a 24 frame audio recording, you just see the audio slowly getting off track. Yeah. There's just a lot of problems with 60. I think people should learn. We've told this story a lot on here, but one time we were shooting a commercial, like a music video with FTF, and this guy was helping us, and he started talking about film, like shooting on film. And I don't remember what you said, Jake, but you're like, oh yeah, I would never shoot on film.
Okay, hold on. I was making
or something like that. And he's like,
making
every
fun of
great DP.
Push your narrative.
I forgot.
I was making fun of Nate Taylor. I was like, imagine being a photographer.
That's right. And then he just like took a step back, and he's like, wait, every great film DP started as a photographer. Yeah. And we're just like, oh yeah. Because they had to learn composition and framing. Yeah. Same thing with learning 24 frames first. Yeah. Learn how to frame it, learn how to tell a story, learn not to lean on 60 frames just to fill the space in your 6-7 minute film.
Yeah. Imagine you start on 24 frames and then move into 60 versus the other way around. Nate, we should film this wedding on Friday solely in 24 frames.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right, I'm down. Is that what you do, Jared? Are you a solely 24 frames guy recently? I know you said if you look at your channel you'll see 60, but is that kind of your main priority?
So as of recent, I would say I'm trying to lean into it.
He's like, no, I shoot everything in 60 after all that.
120, baby.
So I do shoot in 60 still. However,
Yeah.
I edit in 24. So I still try my best not to slow things down within the edit. But I still, like I mentioned before, I have that insurance just in case. Because I'm still not
Which I think
fully
is smart.
confident. Yeah. I'm still not fully there where I'm like, I'm not ready to just go full 24 and call it a day. I think now I probably could. Especially if I had like if I knew the wedding day was going to be pretty low key, it's not going to be too hectic and crazy. We're going to have a ton of time, that sort of thing. I think maybe analyze too, like the wedding day itself, like how it feels if the timeline is like super stacked, if you know you're going to be just like bouncing around and you need just simplicity somewhere, then I would say, make that judgment call, right? For the sake of still serving your client and making sure that they get a good quality film at the end of the day.
No, I love that. Yeah. No, same. Yeah. It's and here's my gripe with the educational industry or being in the educational industry is people have a hard time hearing what you just said and like really grasping it and saying like, wait, you said don't shoot in 60, but then you shoot in 60. It's like, well, you have to understand the principle first, right? You have to understand why you're doing something and then you can break the rule. So I can say, oh, you should always double your shutter speed to match your frame rate. And they see me shooting at 1/1000th, and they're like, "Wait a second!" And I'm just like, "It doesn't like you need to understand what it's doing."
This is
right?
This is a fresh topic for Jake because the YouTube comments on our recent video are just like, people clutching their pearls, like, "Oh my gosh!"
But I've been doing that. It's been happening for years, and then we took a break with the C70.
Yep.
But it's just like, but like, look at the end result. Do you want that? And like, well, yeah. I'm like, so then like. Yes, I should technically, whatever, but it's like, but do what you want to do, right? Give it the look you want to give. Going back to, I'm already forgetting the quote. Your uniqueness.
Finding your
exploit
uniqueness.
It. Yeah.
Exploit it for the service of others.
All right, Jared, that was a good hot take. I want to hear another one.
Okay.
So frame rates, you said details, but give us another one.
This one, I don't know. This one might ruffle some feathers.
That's what we like to hear, Jared. That's what we like to hear.
Let's go. Just the most
Name
humble
names.
guy. Just like, I don't know.
And I might regret saying this. I don't know. But
that's how you know it's good.
Yeah, I feel like, and I hope that I can look back on this and say that I'm wrong, but I feel like content creators are the next gen wedding videographers.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Next gen wedding videographers.
Like the new generation wedding videographers of like what couples are really like, what they're spending their money on over like the wedding filmmakers, so to speak. If you want to separate it into categories, I mean, I feel like, I
have been watching some wild content creators recently.
Same.
Yeah.
Really impressive.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like they are going to be they're already like a force to be reckoned with. They're already shaking things up. They're already, creating such a, I don't know, just a lot of turmoil in the wedding video space for some people. But yeah,
I'd say. Yeah. Can I ask you this?
Yeah.
I'd say insecure videographer. Here we go. Here we go. Insecure videographers who don't know what their purpose is. Yeah, adapt and don't know what their purpose is as a videographer feel threatened by content creators. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you this, Jared. What can we, because I've been watching some amazing content creators. In my mind, it's a third option, right? Mm-hmm. The same thing between a video and a videographer and a photographer. It's like they're different products. For me, a content creation is just like a third one. Like it's just way different in my mind. I can see why people might be threatened by it, but I want to hear your take on what can we videographers learn from content creators as to why are couples wanting that so much? And what is it about them that we should be adapting to and applying to our business? Is it the reality of it? Is it the 24 frames? Is it the authentic moments? Like what are we missing that would make a person want a content creator over ourselves? Is it the turnaround times? I don't know. What do you think?
There's so many thoughts about this topic. First off, I would say we have to get better at demonstrating our value as a collective, or we're going to constantly be turned away, or content creators are going to outbeat us when it comes to, you know.
You are so well spoken. It's like annoying.
Yeah, I was about to say, I was going to wait till we cut the call and just like cut it, be like, Jared,
You
are
articulate
very
so
well-spoken, man.
quickly and so well, and then you say it, I'm like, damn, that makes yes.
This is off the dome too. This isn't even scripted. Come on.
Oh, it's funny you said
Feels
that because I
scripted.
feel like I babble. I feel like I am incoherent and I can't
I
articulate.
babble. You articulate. I rant
Yeah,
and
but
babble
you
in
have that
circles.
sultry voice, right? You have that tonality.
Ah,
where
thanks,
it's
guys.
like,
Jake has a sultry
I
voice.
need to hear that. Thank you.
I'm just sitting in the corner like the little kid, just like
You have the looks.
these
Nate,
guys
you have
are
the
great at
looks.
talking.
Make no mistake. You're the face of this brand. Okay,
Anyway,
so Jared,
let's keep going.
You said we are doing a. Sorry, say it again.
we have to do a better job of demonstrating our value as a collective.
Yes.
And I think that there's a lot of people out in the industry that do it really well, but then there's a vast majority of people that don't do it really well. And that's where we need the most help, because here's the truth of content creators is they are the Amazon Prime of wedding videography now. All right. They are basically giving your couple their cake and eating it too the next day. And what it's doing is it is, in my opinion, I always have to say that. I feel like a disclaimer in everything I say on the internet.
Even though it's coming from your mouth,
Right.
Clearly it's your. Yeah, I know what you mean though. Yeah.
Is, and I lost my train of thought.
Amazon Prime.
They're
Eat
the
the cake
Amazon
too.
Prime.
Yep. Content creators, in my opinion, with the Amazon Prime of being like a wedding videographer, of like giving the couple their cake and eating it too the next day, getting all these clips from the day, couples getting to relive all their magical moments like in an instant. It is kind of ruining the experience from your. What am I? Hold on, let me rephrase
Waiting
that.
for a slow motion montage.
I mean, pretty
for
much.
6
I mean,
months. Yeah.
it's almost ruining the experience of what your film's impact is going to have in their lives, because then if they're like already desensitized from all of the moments from their day, they've already seen it 100,000 times, they have it instantly on their phone, they can pull it up. Why is your film going to be more important than that? Right? That's the question you kind of have to ask. Like, how is your product going to leave a bigger impact, make a bigger ripple into their lives versus what this
Dang.
content creator is going to do?
Well, you get to watch moments with the content creator. You can pull up a moment, right? If I want to watch my first kiss during my ceremony, it's like, well, I know there's a 20-second clip vertically on my phone. I can just watch that, and it's beautiful.
Yep.
Versus scrubbing through my 8-minute film trying to find the second I kiss before it cuts to something else. So you're
think-
selling moments.
Right.
I think videographers are gonna have to lean more into the story.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to get a lot better at storytelling, because we just met a content creator at this networking event, and if you ask her, she was like one of the top
One of the first
5.
too.
Yeah, she was like, when I started, there was this person and this person, and that's it. Like, the way she told it to us, she was one of the first on the ground. And correct me if you remember the exact number, Jake, but I think she told us like last year she did 70
Yes,
to
it was
80
70,
weddings at $2,500 a pop, and we were just like, dang, like, yeah, like most videographers are going to be quoting more than that, but for the amount of work that content creators are doing, they're just filming on their phone, uploading directly to the cloud. Like, I think a lot of people would take
Here's a
that
download
over,
link. Get all your,
Yeah.
you know.
I think a lot of people would take that over filming the whole day, slaving over it, and then just like editing it for 3 months.
Well,
Yeah.
one of my favorite moments from my wedding weekend was just after it was all over, just laying there scrolling through everyone's Instagram stories who were tagging us.
Yeah.
And like you're essentially getting a gallery of that from a guest perspective. It feels like a guest's perspective. And so, yeah, I agree. I think we need to do a better job at distinguishing ourselves and saying, okay, like how can we create or capture more authentic moments, more raw moments, and also like slow down our edits a little bit. Let moments breathe. I'll never forget, I reference this film all the time. One of our films, Aaron and Garrick, for the first time ever, at the very end of the film, it was just a raw, uncut first look. That's how the film ended. It was like a 2 or 3 minute of just their first look. And I was like, wow, it's not like a part of a montage. It's just this moment with no music, uncut. And it was beautiful.
Yeah.
It was emotional. And I'm just like, why don't we, and then I look at all my films or my favorite moments, and it's usually those types of moments.
Always.
And then I remember on a call with J Mac, there's like, it punched me like a ton of bricks, man. He said like, well, he's like, have you ever filmed your couples reacting to their videos? And I was like, yeah. He's like, what parts do they start crying at or reacting to? And it's the parts where they see Uncle so-and-so in the background, right? Or they see so-and-so, like it's a family member doing something or saying something. It's rarely like a slow motion detail shot. Right. They never care about those. You know, or a bridal shot, like, oh, that looks cool. But it's like when they see family members or their first look or their vows, the important parts of the day, all of a sudden the film takes on a whole new life in their eyes. And they actually feel seen. And they feel they can actually relive it. And it's not just some commercial for their wedding, you know?
100%. Yeah, I totally agree. I think with content creators too, I mean, there's so many unknowns too when it comes to how it is going to affect the industry, like the state of the wedding videography world overall. But I mean, I think we can learn a lot from why they are so attractive, why they are getting, you know, bookings left and right, and why a lot of wedding videographers are not. So it's just something to look at and see, okay, how can we create a competitive advantage ourselves? Not just like, oh, I hate content creators. Like they're the worst, you know, and just going straight to the
Would you
negative.
offer it in your packages? Bring somebody along to be a content creator as an add-on?
I think if a couple really wanted it, I would definitely consider outsourcing that and bringing that on. The other side of it too is you still want to hold true to your values as a brand and artist. And if it's something that you feel diminishes the value that you offer, then I would avoid it. But if it's something that you can add on, you consider adding on to add more value to your existing brand, then it should be a no-brainer. So it's just, you know, weighing your options, in my opinion.
And that's why I said like insecure videographers have a hard time with this one. It's because if this is what causes you to like lose your mind and then change your entire business plan to be or you know whatever, then it's like, okay, well then you weren't really grounded in the first place. And I do believe, I think Jay and Mac are a perfect example of this, of people who have not become cookie cutters in the industry, who have stuck to their brand values, stuck to their style, stuck to their look and feel consistently, film after film, said no to probably, just they keep their style consistent because they have brand values. And so when questions arise about content creators or opportunities, it's like nothing changes for them because they have a sure foundation in what they built. And I think that's step one for everybody is figuring out what you do and don't like, what you do and don't identify with, and what you do and don't, like what you said at the beginning of this call, find value in doing, so that when these questions come along or a slow month happens, you're not questioning everything. You're just trying to, build upon what you've already built.
I love it.
Yeah, we have a wedding this upcoming Friday, and Jake, I was about to tell you this directly after this call, so this is going to be news to you as well. Great. But
my reaction face going.
We kind of on this topic of how we respond to content creators as wedding videographers. This upcoming wedding this Friday, we are going to be trying to do some like live edits throughout the day. We have our interns going to come with us. Yeah, I told you I was going to call you after this, Jake. But it's going to be because we don't have a content creator there. But we're going to try to have someone there that's just like making a quick reel, just like a 10-second reel of just like a moment. We're not going to give away too much because, the edit's going to come together and we don't want to spoil it. But just to kind of like test the waters, see how it's received, see how it can be molded into our own package.
All for it.
Yeah, and I think...
So yeah, we're trying.
Yeah, I think that's great because I feel like experimentation too is key to evolving and growing and knowing like what do you get excited about offering couples too. I think that's a part of it too. So I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Well, Jaired, you said, is it next year you have a wedding in California?
This year, September 13th.
Okay. Well, if you do decide to drive and you stop in Utah and we go out for lunch, what are we going to be celebrating? What are we going to be talking about? You got anything in the pipeline right now?
Oh man, so much in the pipeline. Well, we're going to be talking about this really cool community that I'm starting that I think is pretty cool anyway, called Small Town Filmmaker. Just my heart behind creating this community was I just wanted something that was small, tight-knit, but passion focused, something away from the noise of the world and just a way for filmmakers who may be struggling, who are feeling unmotivated, uninspired, to come to a place, a home, like just close quarters with, passion-driven entrepreneurs to just feel that motivation, to get more inspired, and to just become better wedding filmmakers. So that's one thing we'll be talking about. And yeah, it's live right now. If anybody's interested in checking it out, for more information, you can go to smalltownfilmmaker.co and read all about it. I'd love to have you.
We'll link it below too, guys, in the show notes.
Awesome.
That sounds awesome. I love the name. You're so freaking good at articulating things. Small town
Gosh, dang.
filmmakers focus on the passion and the heart of why we do this.
Yeah. 100%.
And you want to you're out there just trying to reinvigorate people
Yeah.
and keep people is vigorated a word?
It's
Invigorate.
that's a beautiful word. That's a
Invigorate?
beautiful way of
Yeah.
explaining it. I love it.
Jake's trying to articulate.
Hey, I'm no Jaired, but I do my best.
Oh man. No, yeah,
That's awesome.
absolutely.
No,
Sounds like a beautiful community.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a good place for people just to come, because I feel like too it's another way of just creating an extension of who I already am, and just offering more. That's really just all I am trying to do. So yeah, I'm excited about it. I appreciate the kind words.
You're an authentic man, Jaired.
Very
Really
authentic.
appreciate that.
Humble, authentic.
Wow.
Thanks for stepping into the kitchen today and joining me and
Really
Jake.
enjoyed
just
this
chatting.
conversation.
I loved every second, you guys.
Found a lot of value. Wrote down a lot of quotes, book titles, shirt titles, things I'm going to print in papyrus on my wall. A lot of things.
Maybe the next venture is me writing a book. Who knows? I don't know.
You should.
You should. You should.
Call it cancel, copy, paste culture.
It's a perfect
That should be the
title.
book title.
60 FPS.
Trademark that
overrated.
after this.
Yeah. Oh, wait, hold on. I'll take some royalties.
Wait a second now.
Well, actually, you did say it, so yeah. Man, well, Jaired, where can we all follow you? Where can we find you? Other than your community, tell us about your channel name, your Instagram, just so our audience can give you a follow, give you some love.
Yeah, absolutely. So you guys can follow me at Wayward North on the YouTube channel, or Wayward North Films on Instagram. You can also follow me on TikTok. It's pretty dry over there. It's kind of a ghost town, but
Guys, give him some TikTok love. Let's get his TikTok
you
up.
can go over to TikTok, go to Wayward North on the TikToks, and I sounded like 100 years old saying that, but
You sound like a boomer.
oh my gosh, that's
On
that's
the
enough for
TikToks,
me. I
and
guess.
then you can
TikTok,
like
the
my fan
TikTok?
page on the Facebook.
Oh man,
I'm just kidding.
Well, we loved having you on
Thanks,
the show,
Jake.
Jaired. Hopefully this September we get to meet up and go out and catch up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
good luck with that drive, or I hope you just get stoned as heck for that flight.
I hope you
just need to get medicated getting on this airplane
yeah,
for the
just
first
get
time.
medicated, man.
Yeah, just put me under and wake me up when I arrive in California.
Oh man, that would be the dream right there.
Can't wait to see how it goes.
Thanks, you guys.
All right, Jaired.
Thanks,
take
Jaired.
care. Thanks
Appreciate
again.
it.
Yeah, appreciate it.
See ya.